Hello and welcome to SuperConnectivity Secret Wars Edition. I'm your host, Charlie Esser, and with me as always,
Phil Parrish.
Okay, Phil, a lot going on in the Secret Wars world today. First off, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Not the elephant on a plane. Yes, which we can get to later. All I wanted was Nick Fury to show up at that point and says, I've got to get these MFing elephants off this MFing plane. But that's an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reference for those who aren't watching the lovely series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So we touched on this, and I went through most of this actually on the all-new Marvel Roundup. So, hey kids, if you're not listening to the all-new Marvel Roundup, you ought to be. But this week in New Avengers, we find out what Doom's been doing for the last millennium. Or for 25 years, which is a very strange... but again, I guess it's that idea of being outside of time that it allows you to do that. But it seems not quite clear. Because they do put this very specific timeline of 25 years. Now, I think that may be a reference, incidentally, to the idea of sliding time, and this idea that Marvel basically has this sliding timeline of about 15 to 25 years, as has been pointed out on the 25th, the silver anniversary, the 25th anniversary issues. When they did the 25th anniversary of Fantastic Four, they actually, it's written when John Byrne wrote it. I believe that was still Byrne's run on Fantastic Four, that he very much wrote it as if it had started in 1968 as the classic timeline. So I do wonder if that's intentional in suggesting this idea of the to reference the sliding time of the Marvel Universe, and one imagines specifically this idea of 25 years maybe being from the inception of the Molecule Man to the eventual destruction of all universes will be 25 years, and that is why killing the Molecule Men essentially disrupts that pattern. Now, what that actually, that when you kill the Molecule Man, that causes the incursion, and then we start creating the incursions more and more rapidly. Which and again, it's this very interesting aspect of this. It's very interesting aspect of the circular reasoning on this whole incursion phenomenon, because we seem to be suggesting that the incursions were all caused by Doom and Molecule Man. But of course, the whole reason why Doom is here is because he's trying to find a way to stop the incursions. So this idea that actually he's the one causing it, aside from making him into, yes, absolutely, the ultimate supervillain of all time, it is interesting. Oh, I just noticed something looking back at this. When they stab the Molecule Man, he actually doesn't die. He actually gets back up.
I just thought it was interesting that they were like, they said that Molecule Man was the same in every reality.
Yeah. Oh, actually, wait, no, I was because I have the book open in front of me. Yeah, well, what's interesting? Yes, well, they are the same, so they don't, which doesn't make perfect sense because I think what they're saying is more that they have a shared reality, because obviously Molecule Monkey from Marvel Monkey Universe is not going to be the same Owen Reese, or maybe Owen Reese Monkey. Oh, yeah, that would probably be what they do. Owen Reese, the Molecule Monkey. That makes perfect sense. When they kill the Molecule Man, it seems he disappears, and perhaps then he becomes sort of in your classic, when you kill your doppelganger in the other universe, you gain his power. So maybe it's unifying the Molecule Man. Which, again, comes to an interesting... that's an interesting idea. So, So in each universe, they make the point that the dooms are different. However, there are far fewer dooms because there is a culling of dooms, because that was done by the Council of Reed Richards before the Celestials culled all of them. Interestingly enough. So there are far fewer Reed Richards and far fewer Victor Von Dooms in the universe. And this is important somehow.
And probably a good thing.
Probably a good thing. Those bomb-throwing lunatics. But what's interesting here, so here's what I'm kind of spitballing on this, but so if you kill a Owen Reese and it causes an incursion that brings the universe together, that causes a universal collapse. What are we moving towards? Especially if that Owen Reese then becomes merged with the singular Owen Reese. If each Owen Reese is tied to a Beyonder, then is it possible that this was actually all part of the Beyonders' plans? Because let's make this point here. The Beyonders are part of Owen Reese. And Owen Reese is the one telling Doom, this is what you have to do, Doom. You've got to cause these incursions.
So in a roundabout way, are the Beyonders committing suicide?
It may be that they are trying to return. And again, this goes, because those regular listeners know I have this theory, that when they refer to the first Beyonder as a juvenile, that they're not specifically referring to him as a juvenile in the sense that he is an undeveloped Beyonder, more so than that he is a Beyonder who is the proto-Beyonder, that he's the juvenile of the group because he was the first Beyonder, and that all the other Beyonders are the Beyonders that have come from that interaction with multiplicity. And with basically when that Beyonder ties to Owen Reese and all the Owen Reeses throughout all the universes, you get all of the other Beyonders. And if you kill a Owen Reese, you cause an incursion, collapsing the universe, and possibly ending a Beyonder, or merging that Beyonder back to the whole of the Beyonders. So the idea being that the Beyonders are trying to get back to that oneness that they lost when they came into contact with Owen Reese. And in that sense, making Doom, who has been helping Owen Reese unlock his powers since the first Secret Wars, having Doom be the impetus for these incursions and these destruction of universes, is the destruction of the irritant of multiplicity, if you will, allows the Beyonders to move more and more back to being the one whole Beyonder. Because if they are the one Beyonder, they no longer have desire, because it is that separation that causes desire. Now, one can make the argument that it is their separation into a being that part of them goes into Owen Reese, that is why they have desire, because now they're missing something. They're missing a piece that is in Owen Reese. And that was actually in the Fantastic Four, where they tried to write out the Beyonder by saying, oh, you're a cosmic cube, and if you just merge with Owen Reese, you'll be whole again. And that holds argument, but it also could hold argument in this, in that, yes, Owen Reese has that piece of the Beyonder, but it is also spread out over an infinite number of universes. And I'm wondering if what Doom is sending at the Beyonders here is essentially a giant time platform, just a big black box that we're seeing. And because he says that their weakness is that they are linear. They only exist within time as they perceive in their own timeline. They are not actually existing outside of time, as much as they may want to say they are. I don't know if Doom is right on that, but my take on this is that obviously that killing the Beyonders has the same effect as killing an Owen Reese. And that is why we're down to 12, because we've just got 12 of your favorite universes left. So I definitely think, like I said, I think this kind of reinforces my basic view of Owen Owen Reese of the first Beyonder being a juvenile, not because he was the new Beyonder, but because he's the oldest Beyonder. He was the Beyonder that was the childlike Beyonder, the Beyonder that hadn't yet experienced all of the universe in all of its ways.
And do you think maybe Doom's been so successful because he once held the Beyonder's power during the first Secret Wars?
Entirely possible. I mean, or it could be that Doom is being manipulated by the Beyonders this whole time. You know, and that's sort of this question with the Beyonders. Are they existing in a separation from the Marvel Universe, or have they always been influencing the Marvel Universe? And that's this idea that if you are outside of time, and we know that the Beyonder can like move through time. And actually, there was a very good Secret Wars because they redid Secret Wars not too long ago, in which they sort of did some backstory on characters, and they actually had an issue which was Doom when he has the power of the Beyonder, and the fact that while he's in that state, he is seeing all time played out for him. And so he knows he's going to lose. He knows he's going to lose the powers, and he knows why and how, but he can't really stop it. It gets very Dr. Manhattan-y, you know? This is what's going to happen. I can't, but it's already happened to me, but it hasn't happened yet because I am in this, you know, quantum singularity of time. So, that is, and see, I use hand wave speech there. Quantum singularity, that has no meaning. But quantum singularity of time has no meaning. But you got the idea of what I was trying to say there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So when you look at that, you face this idea that maybe the Beyonders, as I've said, have been influencing the entire Marvel Universe to bring it to a point where they can undo this problem of Owen Reese. That the Beyonders want to go back to being separate from... They want to put themselves... Basically, the Beyonders are genies, and they want to go back into the bottle. You know? They're tired of all that has been happening, and they're trying to find a way to get the universe to put them back, and the universe is having none of it.
Or do you think maybe that they feel incomplete? I think we were talking about, and they think if they build a new, better universe, they'll feel more complete.
Well, it's hard to say that right now. I mean, that may be what it comes out to. That, you know, from what we can see, from what we've been given, the purpose of the Beyonders experiment is to end all things. And trying to stop them from ending all things is annoying them, so it seems that is their goal, to end all things. Now, is it the idea that they will end all things and then start over? I'm not sure. It could be that their idea is to simply end all things and let that be that and go back to what they were beforehand. You know, when you read Secret Wars 2, and the Beyonders trying to explain what his existence was before the Owen Reese incident, it's just like, I was all that was, and I was all that ever will have been, and then this happened, and it's that is the problem, is that this happened, and now my universe is not the whole of its own universe anymore. Psychologically, one can compare it to the idea of, what happens to humanity when aliens land, or when we find out that there are alternate universes, or anything like that. When our universe breaks out of its nutshell, what happens to us? And I think when you think about like people that have a certain mythology that runs counter to prevailing scientific understanding, and they simply refuse to accept the scientific understanding. They get very adamant and violent about it, and I wonder if maybe that's why the Beyonders are getting so violent, because they want to go back to where they didn't know there was another universe. They want to close the hole that Owen Reese opened. And that, I guess, is the difficulty of it all, because Owen Reese opened this hole in the universe, and they can't seem to figure out how to close it. they can't seem to figure out how to unsee what they've seen. And perhaps that is what the final end of Secret Wars is that the Beyonders realize they can't unsee what they've seen and just put the universe back to some starting point. Obviously, the other alternate perception of it could be that, when we get out of Secret Wars, what you have is a singular universe in the 616 that is based off of what happened before, although that has bits from these other universes thrown in for spice. I'm going to find it very interesting how they get Miles Morales into the 616 permanently in this for New Avengers, simply because he is, is he going to be a refugee from a destroyed 1610? Is he going to be just always have been Miles Morales? And who gains spider powers in some way? I mean, that's going to be interesting. Is there going to be a rewrite? Are people going to have knowledge of what has happened, or what are we entering into? And that's going to be interesting to me. But that's always been interesting about this. And as we get more, now here's an interesting thing. I was on the Battle World map yesterday, and there are still 3 universes, 3 battle zones that don't have a name, and we know that one of them probably has to be the Powerline Saga from Epics, because we've seen artwork of Dr. Zero fighting people. So we know that Dr. Zero is in there somewhere. We haven't seen a new universe yet. And the other universe that we haven't really seen is Heroes Reborn, although I guess maybe you can say that was tied up in the last issue of Fantastic Four. But so in these 3 battle zones left, you have Secret War. You have a power line option, a power lines world that hasn't been explored yet, and a new universe, and then a third world that might be Atlantis Attacks. I don't know yet, or Atlantis Triumphant, because actually we don't have an Atlantis world here yet. We don't, although I guess that should be in the ocean, but maybe there's an Atlantis Triumphant world that's by the ocean. I don't know, where Namor actually did conquer the surface, or Atuma conquered the surface, or something of that nature. Or a Serpent Crown universe, because we also, seemingly will have a Gaia on Battle World. It's a world, so it should have a Gaia, but will we have a Set or Chiton? These are all these questions of the universe that we're going to have answered. But it's interesting to say the least. Now, another Secret War that's going to be happening, and I don't know, maybe that one of those classified worlds is going to be Deadpool's Secret War. Maybe Secret Wars is its own battle world. I don't know. But we did get a preview this week of Deadpool's Secret Wars. And it opens, interestingly enough, with Battle World completely decimated. And it says, the surface of Battle World, now, circa 1984. And Deadpool says, important safety tip, do not pee in the Cheerios of godlike entities. Yeah. So apparently he did something that made the Beyonders angry, and they wiped away everyone, although maybe it all gets rebuilt. I don't know. And then we have, and this to me is the most important part of this preview. Deadpool's meeting all of the superheroes, and none of them recognize him. And he goes up to Iron Man, and he says, you remember, right, Iron Man? You helped me refine my superhero name. I helped you with your little drinking problem. And then Iron Man says, sorry, my man, you're barking up the wrong Iron Man. And because that's not Tony Stark, that's James Rhodes. But Deadpool doesn't know. So just an interesting point in that. He also makes a point of saying how much he admires the Wasp's balloons.
He's like, what?
Yes.
And he's like, word balloons, thought balloons.
Yes. They're very impressive, all that exposition you gave, lady. So it's interesting because apparently Deadpool at least has limited cosmic awareness here, because he he does see the thought balloons, but he did not know that was really James Rhodes in the armor, or maybe he was just keeping James's secret. Or any number of possibilities, but it's all very interesting. How, because like I said, I'm still not convinced that. And for what it's worth, there's Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel again, and we all know that the Beyonders have a particular fancy for her as well. So my hope is that the original Beyonder and Dazzler get to go off into the sunset and live happily ever after all the Secret Wars. That's my hope. I hope those two crazy kids make it work. Yeah, so that is the Secret Wars. I mean, it's here, and it's going to be an incredibly expensive hobby. Because I mean, I think we've got like 8 more last issues, double books next week, and then I think the week after is we get started. Actually, next week we get our first Secret War, right? We get our first Secret Wars #1 is next week. So yeah, it's going to be crazy out there in the Secret Wars. So beyond that, Age of Ultron opened this week. Now, you said this was not really that good of a film, correct?
What?
No, trying to get your hate mail. No. I know you said it was fantastic. Yeah. I want to try and see it tonight so that when I take the kids to see it tomorrow, that I don't have to. When I have to take one of them to the lavatory in the middle of the action sequence, I won't miss anything. So.
Oh yeah, I was crossing my legs the last half hour.
Yeah, it's going to be a long one, and the kids always we get the supersized drink and the supersized popcorn with the refill. So then I also have to go refill the popcorn and drink halfway through the film as well, and then so.
Although the one good thing, the extra scene isn't at the end of the credits; it's like in the middle of the credits.
Yeah.
So you don't have to sit all the way through the credits.
Yeah, I actually like sitting through the credits. I feel that all those people worked on that film. They deserve to have someone in the theater when their credit goes by. I don't read all the credits, but I want,
You want to know who's working the food cart, Charlie?
So there is a post credit or mid credit scene, but there's no shawarma because Joss Whedon said, I tried several things, but I couldn't top the shawarma, and so
yeah, because I double checked. I had a friend who went and saw it Thursday night. And he sat through the credits and he said, yeah, there is no end credit scene. It's just in the middle.
Yeah. Well, most of them actually have that middle credit scene.
Yeah.
And
wait till you see it.
I'm can't wait. Do you want to give a spoiler?
Do you want to know?
Oh, I always want to know. I don't mind spoilers. I like spoilers. It's
okay. Well, they kind of open up. It looks like it's like a little safe or a vault or something. Mm-hmm. And it opens. You see Thanos. Well, first you see the Infinity Gauntlet with no gems on it, and Thanos shoves his hand into the gauntlet and says, "I guess I have to do this myself."
So Loki gives him the Infinity Gauntlet.
I don't know. I guess, yeah. There no Loki in this movie.
No, well, they shot some stuff with him. They cut it out. But what? Because my theory on this has always been that Loki was manipulating things so that he could get all the Infinity Stones. If he's in now, are they in Asgard? Is it an Asgardian safe that they're opening, or?
I don't know. It like I said, the shot looks like it's on the back of the safe because all you can see is the little space of the safe, and you just see Thanos' head and then his arm reaching. Mm-hmm. You can't tell where it's really at.
Okay, so maybe he has his own Infinity Gauntlet. So that might be the case too. Because we know the Infinity.
It could be because there was no gems on it.
Yeah. Well, and we know that Loki should have at least one or two, because he has the Tesseract, and he probably has. Let's see here. Yes. So so we're gonna have to figure that all out.
And maybe the best Stan Lee cameo ever.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Is it going to be? We're going to see it, or do you have to watch for it?
Oh, you'll see it.
Okay, so I'll watch for it, and we'll let that be unspoiled. Oh,
it's during the party. That's all I'll say.
Okay. He just picks up the hammer, wipes underneath it, puts it back. He's the janitor. Because you do know he is a janitor he did play the janitor in the Dr. Pepper commercials in Stark's Iron Man lab. So yes.
No hammer, but it is a funny scene.
I'm sure. I can't wait to see it. Okay. Well, I think that is the whole of the Marvel Universe for this week. We'll edit that out. Okay. So that has been the Marvel Universe for this week. I have, as always, been your host, Charlie Esser, with my ever faithful friend, Philip Parrish.
That's right.
You can write to me at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. Like the SuperConnectivity Podcast Facebook page, and follow me at Charlie Esser on Twitter. And Phil, where can they find you?
Well, they can email me at nightwingpdp@gmail.com, and on Twitter, I am at nightwingpdp.
Beautiful. And you can always connect with us again next week on another Super Connectivity, when we will certainly talk about the Avengers Age of Ultron in excruciating detail. So watch it sometime between now and then if you don't want to be spoiled. Although you already got your end of credit spoiler. Definitely connect with us again next week, and definitely listen to the all-new Marvel Roundup, where we talk about other things in the Marvel Universe, although all about comic books, so that's fun. No MCU there, although we sometimes get into that too, because we get very incestuous on the Enough Said podcast. But certainly, everyone, come by, follow us, like us, watch us, listen to us, and we'll connect with you again next week. See you on Battle Enough said.